So let's talk about templating. This is the next section. So whenever you go to Amazon.com or most major websites, you'll notice something. At the very top, you've got a header. At the very bottom, you've got a footer. All this stuff in the middle will change based on what you choose. So if let's say that I want to go look for shoes. When I type in shoes, this middle section changes, but the top remains the same. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom. The bottom also remains the same. Now, ask yourself this question. Is it terribly efficient to copy and paste the same footer and the header on every single page? No. This is the concept of what's called templating. So generally speaking, they will create a template. I'm going to load up the header to look a certain way. I'm going to have some block of content. I don't know what that is, but if I go all the way down to the bottom, there's going to be a footer that's also going to remain the same. Or if you think about a form letter, like when you get your credit card bills in the mail, they have a templated letter, which means that it's just like grab every single record from the database and dear Mr. or Miss so-and-so, like your charge of blah, 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 like your bill of this much money is due on this particular day. They create a template for you, and all you have to do is just fill in that template. And that's what we're going to try to do here. Because I do want every single page to have all of these fonts inside of there. I want it to have this, this top section as well. So I want to create what's called a template. The way that I'm going to do that is inside of my blog, I'm going to create what's called base.html. And inside of base.html, I'm going to load in all the things that I want on every single page. So let's go kind of line by line and figure out what's something I need on every single page. Maybe, I probably need all of this stuff, because every single page I want to load up to have this header over here. So maybe I'll grab all of this, put it inside of base.html. Okay, so I'm left with all of this inside of here. I definitely need this closing HTML tag to go away as well. I'm going to put it at the very bottom. All I'm doing is I'm cutting out the common things that I want on every single page and putting it inside of base.html. Let's see what else. What else could I take out? I could probably take out all of this and then also put it right over here. And with that, I'm going to take these last 3 divs and take that out as well. Reformat this. So I've created a base.html file, and I've essentially just grabbed the things that I want to load on every single page and put it inside of here. So it's going to load up my title, my head, load in the Bootstrap, load in the CSS, load in the Google fonts. It's going to have this page header at the very top. It's going to have all of these div classes inside of here. And at one point, it's going to yield its time. It's going to basically pass it off to somebody else to load in that middle section. So the idea here, if I go back to Amazon, I'm loading in all the fonts for everything. I'm loading in this header. I'm loading in this footer all the way at the bottom as well. And I want to rewrite this middle section here. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put block content, and then end block. So what this is saying is load up the base template first, run all of this HTML, and once you get to block content, find the exact, find the HTML file that I want, load in all of that content, close the content, and then close out the rest of the page. Does that make sense, or did I lose a bunch of people?
Content is a variable name?
Content is a required variable name from them. So essentially, same thing, just to go over it one more time. Load the base. Once you get to block content, find a particular HTML file, load all of that content inside of there, close the content, and then finish out the rest of the page.
You're going to keep the title as base content?
Yep, I'm going to keep this as base.html. Yep.
Where you specify
I will show you right now. So inside of post list, I'm going to say that post list, right at the very top, I want you to extend so right at the very top, go ahead and extend blog base.html. So it's basically saying reach out to blog base.html, grab all the code and shove it in right over here. At this point, I'm going to say this is block content. What's happening? Line number 1, grab all the code here and paste it in right above all this. Once you see the words block content inside of base, it's actually this thing right over here. So copy and paste this, put it inside of here.
So that's matching the block content in post list.
Correct. Yep.
But you're right, like it's still calling post list.
Sorry, repeat that one more time.
It's easier to think about the base coming in and like filling in post list.html because that's still what you're routing to.
Yes. Yeah. Content 4. I think I got everything. Okay. So let's just verify that when I create this base template, it looks exactly the same and operates the same as before. So I'm just going to get rid of this. So let's walk through the way that our app runs. So first, it hits my site, goes to urls.py. Anytime you go to a route that has posts in the front, followed by a slash, I'm going to take you over to blog URLs. This is number 2 right over here. So when I have slash with nothing, I'm going to take you to views, post list, views, post list. This particular views file talks with the model, which grabs stuff from the database, renders out post list.html with this particular set of variables. I think I have to do all of this right there. Okay, so I've loaded up post lists. On line 1, it says grab the base.html and grab all this code and basically copy and paste it. The moment you see block content and end block, grab all this content in the middle and put it right there. This for loop is to iterate over all the blog posts that I have.
Which
Came from views.
and then when you go back to base though,
Yep.
you hit paste this again at the top there, you track where all this is. You don't I'm sorry. Right there in that
Which line?
line 12.
Yep.
Where it says paste this again.
Yep.
That's just giving you a URL.
That's just creating a
Okay.
URL. Yep.
I got you.
So we just want to verify that this works exactly the same as before. Refresh the page. It looks exactly the same. Cool.
So the only connection from base to
The only connection from base to post list is this line 1.
that one.
And then line 3 and line 13.
Right. It has that.
Yep. All right, so
What
let's
if you had,
go ahead.
What if you had another HTML like post view, and then you had
That's
a block content?
exactly what we're going to go do right now. Okay. So we're able to read all of them. Let's see if we can read an individual one. We started creating this a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to throw that inside of here. Anytime anyone makes a request to /post/some number, I'm going to take you to post, and I think this is a post detail. I'll call this post detail. Inside of views.py, I create my post detail. Post detail takes in a request, takes in a post ID from the request as well. I'll grab all this, just paste it in. Get object or 404. So I'm going to grab the post from the database using this ID, and then I'm going to render out post detail.html. Currently, post detail doesn't exist, so I'm going to create that right over here. Post detail.html. It's empty right now, so I'm just going to grab this, post it, and paste it in here. It's very similar to post list. First things first, I'm going to extend the base. So I'm going to grab all the code with all of the bootstrap, all of the title, all of the headers. Everything is going to be loaded in. And then once you see block content, I'm going to execute this particular bit of code. Let's see if this one works. So if I refresh the page and I go to posts/1, you can see I still have that same header up here, all the same font files, and then this is the view for an individual post. Does this actually go anywhere? None of these go anywhere. Let's change this post list. Because when I hover over it and you take a look at the bottom left-hand corner, it just takes you to all the posts rather than the individual one. So it takes you to the exact same page, bro. And I want it to take me to this route over here on line 6. So if we go back over here, it says for all posts and posts, okay, there's an href. So let's use that named route. So I believe it's percentage like that. I know I need URL, and then I need to pass in the named route, which I believe is called post detail. That's this name equals post detail. And it looks like I need to pass in a number because it's looking for a number right over here. So I think all I have to do is just do post.id. Do I need a comma?
No.
Okay, let's find out. Refresh the page. And when I hover over it, you'll see that it's taking me to post number 1, post number 2, and post number 3. So let's verify I can do that. Post number 1. Cool. Uh-oh. That's the detail page. No, because I'm extending from base. Post list. Why is it putting an extra? Oh, there it is, right there. Go back, refresh the page. When I click on this, I'll go back to the posts. I can jump down to number 3, and I still got that right there.
Wow. Can you explain that error?
Sure. The error was that before I put an extra quotation right here, so it interpolated as it's /posts with a single quote at the very end. It was just an extra typo. So when I went to posts here, and if you hover, take a look at the bottom left-hand corner.
Right,
There's /post/something. I was like, and when I click on that, it doesn't know what to do because it's not a real route. I was like, wait, I didn't type that in there. Why is that there? So when I looked inside of base.html, because remember, now we have one single point of failure. I was like, where is that coming from? And I found that extra one right there. So I deleted it. Refresh this page. When I click on my blog now, it takes me to actually /posts. So we're able to read all of them. We're able to read an individual one. Was there a question that I just cut somebody off? No? Let's create some forms so that we can create, update, and delete.
Still the block content part. I know you were able to pull block content sort of road.
Yep.
Like, what differentiated? Like, how did it know when you were on a view what block content?
Sure. So we got base.html, which is like the base for all of our HTML files. We're good, all good on that one? Post list says extend from base.html, meaning load up base.html first. Base.html is looking for something called block content. So whenever it sees block content, it knows to basically copy and paste the code starting at that point. And then whenever it says end block, it knows to stop copying and pasting at that point. So when I extend from blog base.html, there's that block content. So it says, okay, at this point, start copying and pasting. And then it's just going to interpolate all of this stuff. And then once it reaches end block, then this finishes on line 18 in base.html, and we close out the rest of the file.
Oh, so I thought on post detail, we also did block.
We did the same thing? Yep.
Right. So how does base.html know which block content is?
Oh, good question. So when you take a look at views.py, it's saying, when I go to the route post detail, it's saying load up post detail.html. So I go there, and then blog base.html loads, and then this is the specific block content on this specific page.
Okay, yeah. So if you're using base, so every time you can only have one block on
Yes.
the base.
Yes.
Okay. And then each time you'll route back to
Mhm. Yep. Correct.
To have a linear inheritance, could intermediary like base to or something that's in between and extend from base and then something extend.
Yeah, you could do that. It doesn't happen very often, but you could do that. All right, so let's jump back over here. We're going to create a quick form. We want to be able to create these blog posts. So inside of here, we're going to do a little something new. Close, close, close. Okay, I'm going to create blog, and I'm going to create something called forms.py. And inside of forms, we used to put it all inside of views, and that's fine. We could do that, but I'm just going to create a separate file for forms because we want to keep things as single responsibility as possible. So from Django, import forms, and then from models, import post. This is the same thing as we had yesterday. So we have post form, which is going to inherit from this model form. Then we got this meta class. I don't know why they do it. It's just the way that it's set up. They're saying, we'll create a form for you. Just tell us what model you want and tell us what fields that you want as well. So right now we've got title, text, and it looks like we're missing some stuff. Let's take a look. If I go to models.py, looks like I've got a title, a text, and a published date. It looks like we can leave it blank and we can leave it null. So I think I was just taking a shortcut. I didn't want to actually just type in all the date time stuff. I think that's what's happened here. So we created the form under urls.py here on the left. I'm going to add in another route. So anytime anybody makes a request to /posts/new, I'm going to take them to the views file, specifically the new post method. Def new post request. I'm going to create a new instance of post form, which means I need to bring that in. So from .forms import post form. And I'm going to render out the form itself with these particular variables that need to be interpolated. So I'm missing this. Let's jump over to templates, blog. I'm going to create a new file called postform.html. And we're going to do this. Same thing as before. I'm still extending the base. So whenever I make a request to /new, it takes me here. It loads up this template, postform.html, this third tab right here. I'm going to extend from base, and then here's that block content that I'm going to put in the middle. So let's go to that form /posts/new. And there we go. We got that new post with a title and a text. And let's create a new blog post. Whatever. Save it in here and go back to my posts, and nothing happens. The issue of what's going on is if we take a look over here, it's taking me, I'm posting to new post, but it's not actually doing anything. And that's because over here, I'm just rendering the form and not doing anything else with it.
Can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
So this is part of why yesterday I read database. There was times that he did such a display, but it was in my database and I could find it if I look at the slash whatever.
Yep.
So what you just saved is in the database, right?
It's not in the database at all.
Yep.
Because if it was in the database and I refresh this page, remember this particular page is grabbing all the records from the database. So if it actually saved, even though there was no success message, then it would show up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so ours is not showing anything at this point. I'm going to render, get object of 404. I'm going to also import datetime. And you'll see why in just a second. All right, a lot of code that just came out over here. So I've got new post, and I'm going to do an if-else check. If the method that comes through is a post request, meaning that you submitted the form here, that's this line 5, form method is post. So if it's a post request that comes in, I'm going to create a post, I'm going to create a form, I'm going to check if it's valid, I'm going to save it. I'm going to also set that the author is going to be the request's user, and the published date is equal to date.datetime.net. remember, when we take a look inside of models.py, we have an author on line 5, and we also have a published date on line 8. But we only filled out the title and the text. So we need to hard code it inside this controller, this view.py, so that we know who the author is and who the published date is. Once we save it, we're going to redirect them to the post detail page, and with this particular ID. If it's not a post request, then I'm just going to create an instance of the form and then pass it off to blog post form.html. Let's see if this one works. Good question. Do we have redirect? We do not have redirect. Let's go over here, go to /new, fancy new blog post, 1, 2, 3, whatever, and save. Uh-oh. Cannot assign simple lazy object, anonymous user, post.author must be a user instance.
Yeah, we can instance keyword in is it in somewhere that you can see? Instance equals false.
Yeah, I remember seeing that somewhere. Probably forgot to copy and paste it. Let's just do user.objects.all at 1. Yeah. Let's refresh this. User is not defined. From models, how do I get the actual user? I don't know. Let's actually embed right over here, and then we'll find out what we have access to. So I'm going to do from IPython import embed. I have to pip install it real quick. It says no module called IPython, so pip install IPython. On the server. Okay, we're loading on 8,000. Let's just make a GET request here. Save it. It's just hanging out for a bit because we're stuck inside this here. So let's go to request. Request is some sort of WSGI request. So if I do request.user, I get some sort of anonymous user. And that's what blew up earlier. It says you couldn't have an anonymous user. Okay, that makes sense. Do I have access to a user? So from.models import user. Is that user a thing? Cannot import model name users. I'm going to exit here and just Google the answer. So it blows up. Let me change this back to request.user. We'll make the GET request again. Save. I forgot to get rid of this embed. All right, let's just Google this and see what they say. Assign simple lazy object. Okay, looks like someone else actually already asked this. Cannot assign simple lazy. Grab this here. All right, and jump down to the answer. Comment has a foreign key to my profile. My profile, not objects. So it is essentially what's happening here is that I'm not assigning it to an actual user in the database. It's just an anonymous user from the request. And if you take a look inside of models.py, it says that it's going towards this auth user model. I don't know, maybe it's auth user model. Essentially, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to attach this post to an author and it's not working.
So, since you have it attached to the 4Q authorized model, isn't the only authorized feature that?
It is only the admin right now, but I don't know how to reference that thing in the database. And like Holly said, I have no idea how to connect it.
I think we should probably query it. I mean,
You can just delete all
What's that?
or
We could just delete author.
Make it not a 4K. Have it-
stack overflow, so we can just query on the barrel, keyword of user equals request.
That's what I'm leaning towards right now. Use.py request.user. Let's just Google it. Django assign user to, what is it, auth user model? Referencing the user model. Let's see if auth user model is actually available right over here. All right. This is not good. Python manage run server. I have embed. I do have embed. Okay. Let's go back over here. Should not blow up. Cool. Do I have access to auth user model? Auth user model is not defined.
The other in the model is settings.
get user model.
Looks like I might have get user model. Ooh, okay. Let me try that. Get user model. Okay. A equals underscore. Let's try that. I'm going to throw this at the very top. It's going to be get user model. Let's see if that one works. Okay, so we'll jump back to this first tab. Go here. These work. Okay. Post author must be a user instance. That's not good. Must be a user instance Django. Okay. Okay, let's user objects that get. Okay, I think it's just this. Okay. So we can get rid of this one here. From Django contrib all user auth. I'm gonna put this at the top. Import user. Pass it down over here. Just do a user. Actually, it's right here. User.objects that get all 0. Cool. All right. I will add that to the curriculum. Sorry about that. Didn't know. All right. So what can we do now? We can read all of them. We can read an individual one. We can go to /new and create a new one, because you can see right down over here, there's that FWEA blog post that I created a little bit earlier. But we want to also be able to edit and delete. So update and delete. So we have the C and the R, we need the U and the D. So let's knock that out. Inside of post detail.html, when I view each individual one, I should be able to see I should be able to actually edit it. So I'm going to throw this right here. I'm going to create a nice looking button. I'm going to change this to ID. Say post ID is equal to post ID. And you'll see this, but essentially what this is, it's going to be a small little pencil that you can hit to edit it. So I created the route. I'm going to go inside of urls.py. I'm going to add in that particular edit function. So I believe it's int post ID edit.
So you didn't into the HTML first.
I did put it inside the HTML first.
It really is.
I mean, it's up to you. If you want to create the route and then add it to the HTML, it's you can go out of order if you want, but you need to do 3 things. 1 is add it to the HTML. 2 is create a route for it, and then 3, create a controller action in views.py. So now I'm going to pass it off to views inside of edit post. Yeah, it's going to look very similar. All right, so edit post takes in a post ID, so get object or 404. So I'm going to grab the item from the database, and I'm going to basically run the same thing that we saw up here. Otherwise, create the form and render it out to the post form, but it's going to be an edit type of action instead. So save, jump back over. I'm going to click on one individual one. You can kind of see there's that little pencil from before. When I hover over the pencil and look in the bottom left, it's posts/2/edit. When I click on that, it takes me to the form with everything already filled out. If I just take the example to blog post title 50 and save, same thing as before. We are missing this particular post.author. So right now I'm just hard coding. We'll figure this one out a little bit later. Going back to this edit page, post title 123, save it to the database, post title 123. And finally, we're going to add one more thing to delete it in the case that we don't like this. So under post detail, I'm going to throw in an extra href, probably delete this post at the very bottom. So I created a URL for it. I'm going to put it inside of the URLs. Yep, it's just a link that takes me to this and just says delete this post. I'm going to create a route for it. I'm going to create a controller action. And now if I refresh this page, there should be something that pops up that says delete this post. Click on that. Number 2 is gone. So if I try to go to posts/2, it's going to give me a 404 because it's not inside the database anymore. So now we have the ability to create, read, update, and destroy all of our posts. I'm going to stop the recording here, but I'll take questions after.